Coming up tonight on YCN News, police in Lebanon, New Hampshire search for the man who held up a Maple Fields convenience store on Mechanic Street today. Senators from around the country develop a plan to slow down the timeline that may close mail processing plants. And former New Hampshire State Senator Jim Rubens, a candidate for U.S. Senate, asks one of his Republican challengers to take a stand on the Affordable Care Act. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening, and welcome to this Thursday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Police in Lebanon, New Hampshire are searching for the man who held up a Maple Fields convenience store on Mechanic Street early today. The clerk was not injured, say police, despite being held at knife point by a man demanding money at the store around 1 a.m. The clerk handed over cash to the man, who fled east on Mechanic Street. Police and a canine team searched the area. The suspect remains at large. He is described as being a white man in his late teens to early 20s. He is about 5 feet 9 inches tall. At the time, he wore blue jeans and a gray hooded sweatshirt. Police seek the public's help. If you know anyone who may have witnessed the holdup or been in the area or have any information to share with police, contact the Lebanon Police Department at 603-448-1212. YCN is introducing a new feature in our program lineup, a financial segment. Today's financial report is brought to you by Edward Jones financial advisor Martha Mackey. YCN would like to know, what is a living legacy and how do I set it up?
Well, a legacy means what are you going to leave to future generations like your children, your grandchildren, or even future generations in your community. Now, I know this isn't always the first thing on people's mind as they're just trying to save enough for retirement, but chances are there will be some of that nest egg left over after you're gone. So thinking about where you'd like that money to go is a good idea. So to get started setting up a legacy like this, the first thing that you'd want to do is just sit down and make an informal list of organizations that you'd like to support or things that you'd like to provide for the future generations in your own family. Think about what's important to you and what organizations are you already supporting today, maybe in their fundraising efforts or as a volunteer. Once you have an idea of what you'd like to do and you have some details in mind, that's a good time to go see an estate planning attorney so that you can get all the proper documents in order and make sure that your intentions are followed after you're gone. Another way that you can leave a legacy is simply by changing the beneficiaries on your retirement accounts. This way you can leave money directly to a family member or a nonprofit organization, and there may be some tax advantages in that case as well. But it's important to check with your attorney and tax professionals to make sure everything's in order ahead of time. This is Martha Mackey, your local Edward Jones financial advisor, located at 54 Opera House Square in Claremont, New Hampshire. Member SIPC.
Please join us every week for this regular feature. A plan is developing among 50 U.S. senators that would put a hold for 1 year on any plans by the Postal Services to curb deliveries. U.S. Senator from Vermont Bernie Sanders joined 49 other senators from around the country in a bipartisan effort to slow down a timeline that could close mail processing plants. Today, Sanders and colleagues joined in calling for a 1-year moratorium on plans by the U.S. Postal Service to close up to 82 mail processing plants and Saturday deliveries and cut 15,000 jobs. In the letter sent to Senate leaders, Sanders and other senators asked Congress to block a proposal by Postmaster General Patrick Donahoe to close plants and eliminate jobs. Joining Sanders in the moratorium call are Vermont's Senator Patrick Leahy and New Hampshire's Jean Shaheen. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Former New Hampshire State Senator Jim Rubens, a candidate for U.S. Senate, is asking one of his Republican challengers to take a stand on the Affordable Care Act. Rubens, former U.S. Senator from Massachusetts Scott Brown, and former U.S. Senator from New Hampshire Bob Smith will face off in the September 9th Republican state primary. Rubens wants Brown to take a definitive stance on what pejoratively is known as Obamacare. Rubens makes his remarks after debating Brown during a Mount Washington Valley Economic Council forum in North Conway, New Hampshire. Brown, Rubens says, is waffling on the issue. Brown likes some parts of the nation's new medical insurance law, but not all of its mandates. Rubens, in an earlier interview with YCN News, is on record saying he would repeal the law and replace it with other options. Rubens says Brown needs to articulate better what exactly he would do to improve the new law. Vital Communities is an organization that does what its name suggests, provides solutions to keep the Twin States rural counties positive in all ways. It is based in White River Junction, Vermont. Its membership includes towns along both sides of the Connecticut River. A new program, Farm to School, recently launched. An August 27th forum at Colby Sawyer College in New London will present ways to keep New Hampshire's food system safe and prosperous. The forum begins at 9 a.m. and runs until noon. To register, go online to nhfoodstrategy.weebly.com. For more information about Vital Communities, go online to vitalcommunities.org. Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now, Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to sports.
Thanks, Rose. Tonight will be mostly cloudy with winds around 5 miles per hour and lows in the 50s. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a high of 68 degrees and winds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Friday night we'll have calm winds, cloudy skies, and temperatures in the 50s. Saturday the skies will clear up for a bit to be mostly sunny with a high of 73 degrees. Winds will be around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday night we have a 40% chance of showers with mostly cloudy skies and lows in the 50s. As you can see on our satellite map, there are no storms in our region, but there is a presence of clouds. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in New Hampshire, the Cornish Board of Selectmen will meet at 3 p.m. In Vermont, the Bellows Falls Farmers Market will begin at 4 p.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. Now let's turn to New Hampshire Fisher Cats news. Last night's game was postponed due to rain. The game has been moved to tonight after tonight's regularly scheduled game against Richmond. Game 1 begins at 6:05 p.m. This weekend, the Fisher Cats will take on Akron in Manchester, New Hampshire.